Hey there, Metal-O-Maniacs. It's Wednesday night, so you know what that means. It must be time for another one of these dipshit videos that the Crypt likes to give you. And this week we're going to do the video on the 10 most hated dickholes in metal. The 10 most hated dickholes in metal, and hopefully I'm not one of them. I'm going to open this thing right out by telling you all that I do not personally hate any of the people on this list. Myself, I do not. I am even willing to concede right from the jump. Several of these cats are hated just because of the stupid shit they've done has gotten a lot more of the press than anything they've done that's redeeming. And well, okay, some of them have probably just not done anything redeeming. They have no redeeming qualities whatsoever, but I'll let you make up your own minds on that one. I've said it before, but this is a gray fucking world and we all have black and white minds. So right or wrong, we tend to use whatever information we have about someone in the limelight and convince ourselves that that is enough information to pass complete and total judgment on them, which of course is bullshit. But we all do it. We're all guilty of it. Are we not? I mean, I'm doing a fucking video right now where we're calling these people douchebags and dickholes. So maybe we can't help ourselves. And maybe, just maybe, if these crevice crusties had chosen to be nicer every now and again, or perhaps shut the fuck up once in a while, we would think better of them. So let's all pass judgment together. What the fuck? Let's name our 10 most hated dickholes in metal. Number 10 is King of Hell. This dude has made a few enemies since arriving on the black metal scene, not the least of which were a legion of Gorgoroth fans when he chased off Tormentor, who was a fan favorite of the band in 2002, and then went on to put out albums with Gorgoroth that drew strong criticism from longtime black metalers and their fans. Fenris of Darkthrone has been extremely vocal in his opinion of King, calling him an uber poser who is constantly trying to destroy real metal. Darkthrone's 2010 album Circle the Wagons has been renamed by most within the genre as the Anti-King of Hell 001 album, and Fenris does not deny it. King of Hell has reportedly faked his affiliations with the Satanic Church and is referred to as the black metal wannabe. Once at a show in 2010, an audience member threw eggs at King, which Fenris later called the Spinal Tap moment of the year because King of Hell apparently is Spinal Tap. Ouch. Very ouch, brother. Number 9 on our list is good old Varg. Varg Vikernes. I'm saying his name wrong, but fuck you. While good old Varg has recently been trying to backtrack on a lifetime of rhetoric, this dude is a Nazi sympathizer at best, and a murderer and an arsonist. Perhaps a dickhole isn't the worst thing he's ever been called, I guess, now that I think about it, especially by us stupid tool bags. Vikernes started his first band at the age of 14 called Kalashnikov, an early favorite gun manufactured and created in Russia, and would go on to form Barzum, which would become one of the most influential black acts on the planet and helped to establish Norway as black metal's ground zero. In 1992, Varg and several other members of the Norwegian black metal scene were accused of burning down 3 Christian churches. And while he denied involvement, he has been vocal of his support for the fires, even encouraging others to do more of them. Then in 1993, after releasing an album as part of Mayhem, another Norwegian death metal giant, during a disagreement with Euronymous, Varg fatally stabbed him to death. The jury didn't buy the self-defense claims, and the story goes that Euronymous ran around in circles for several minutes while dying with a knife blade sticking out of the top of his skull. That's pretty fucking brutal. So Dickhole here got 21 years in jail, during which time he wrote and published 2 books expressing pro-Nazi agendas, and even started the Norwegian Heathen Front, a neo-Nazi movement that views Muslims and Jews as subhuman species. Maybe he just needs a mirror to find someone fitting of that description, no? By the way, he only served 15 years of that prison sentence and now makes music in France. What a fucking dickhole on a croissant. Our number 8 dickhole is Ivan Moody, aka Ghost. So it probably doesn't say very good things about me as a person that I have Ghost higher than a murderer. I mean, I don't think he has killed anyone yet. But the lead vocalist for Five Finger Death Punch has made some pretty douchey moves in his time with the band. Just for starters, many thought their video for I Apologize, which depicts Moody walking through a graveyard with the names of dead musicians who have died from addiction, to be classless at best and downright disgusting at worst. He once cut a concert short in Worcester, telling fans he had to leave because his mother was dying, only to be seen carried off the stage unable to walk by many of those very same fans. And his sister then tweeted that the mother was alive and well. As if all that isn't bad enough, he was arrested February 2014 in Australia for being so drunk that he physically assaulted a female flight attendant, and in 2015 his girlfriend of 17 years filed domestic battery charges against him that she later dropped in exchange for a firm restraining order. So this fuckhead is guilty of a lot more than just being in a shitty band. Number 7, and this one is tough for me to add because you all know how I feel about Slayer. But Kerry has brought a lot of heat on himself for not just being opinionated, but being loudly opinionated. He once referred to deceased Slayer member Jeff Hanneman as worm food in an interview, and has gone hard after bands like Metallica and Iron Maiden for, quote, living off past successes, obviously excluding Slayer from that crime. And a case could be made otherwise, I'm just saying. He even blamed poor ticket sales for a festival Slayer once headlined on the fact that the second biggest band was King Diamond, and King Diamond doesn't draw enough of a crowd. Add all of that to his reputation as the whammy bar solo guy, and you can see why he might not be the most loved dude in metal. In fact, Dickhole number 7 for us. Number 6 on our Dickhole list is Hernan Eddy. The former singer for All Shall Perish and current voice of Suicide Silence might just be guilty of trying to do too many things at once and not being upfront about it with his former bands. While trying to keep one foot in All Shall Perish, Eddy took over duties in Suicide after their original singer Mitch Lucker was killed in a motorcycle accident. After repeatedly telling his former bandmates he was still with them, Perish found out that not only had Eddy left the band, but they found out Suicide Silence's management was forbidding All Shall Perish from doing anything as a band until Eddy was the established new singer for Suicide, essentially shutting that band down for a year in limbo. All of this is in his sin bin before we even mention that his first 2 outings with Silence were utter new metal bullshit, and you can see why many fans have turned on Eddy. The new album seems to have promised though, so we shall perish. Oh, no, I mean, we shall see. Number 5 Dick is Gall. That's right, Gall. Gall will always be known for being the douchebag who joined Gorgoroth and then teamed up with fellow Dickhole King of Hell to try to steal the name from founding member and guitarist Infernus. He failed at the attempted hostile takeover, and the underhanded move got both him and King thrown out of the band. Gorgoroth fans all mostly ignore the Gall years and dismiss those outings as complete dog shit compared to earlier works like Antichrist and Pentagram anyway. Gall once called a burglar breaking into his house. Did he call the police right away? No, he did not. Instead, he tied the man to a chair and proceeded to torture him for 6 straight hours before turning him over to authorities. Alright, to be honest, I'm not sure how much I dislike him for that last part, but he's still a fucking dickhole. And number 4 on our list is fucking Dave Mustaine of Megadeth. That's right, one of the lords of metal in my opinion, and despite all of the shit that I'm about to throw at Dave, I still love him. Megadeth was just too gigantic a piece of my youth to turn away, and a mostly stellar discography over some dickhole tendencies from this dude. We put him this high on the list due to his being one of the biggest names on the list. But what Dave is mostly guilty of is his bare-knuckle honesty. He spent 30 years happily taking potshots at Metallica after he left the band oh so long ago, and although the rift was finally closed for barrels full of cash to pull off the Big Four show, many who sided with those other guys never quite came around to Dave's corner. Plus, since Dave very publicly became a born-again Christian a few years ago, he has stopped performing many of Megadeth's best early songs due to lyrical content he no longer endorses, much to the anger of Megadeth fans everywhere. When Megadeth won a Grammy in 2017, Mustaine did himself no extra favors by publicly saying that the award should not have been given to the band, but to him personally because he did it all himself. Our number 3 dickhole is a woman, so does that make her a pussy hole? Hey, I'm just asking. Number 3 is Sharon Osbourne, and just for starters, whether Sharon actually did or did not have an affair with longtime, departed, and never forgotten Shredmaster Randy Rhoads, or if she just made it up to sell books, she is still a scumbag for it either way. Also, to metal fans, Sharon is our very own Yoko Ono, having been blamed by more than a few sources for breaking up the legendary unit of Black Sabbath. After all, it was her father who was behind having Ozzy removed from Sabbath, don't forget, and then Sharon went on the offensive and has been accused over the years of exploiting Ozzy's drug use and wild antics to enrich herself. The Osbournes are reportedly worth an estimated $410 million. So it's kind of working, I guess. But her sin bin is a big one. And considering her extended stints on television, there is a virtually bottomless pit of horrible things to dissect that have fallen out of Sharon's mouth. Although few are as egregiously disgusting as her recent claim about Rhoads, in my opinion. A person who Ozzy has stated he has missed every single day since his death from a plane crash in February of 1982. What a wicked thing to put out there into the world. Plus, the successful Black Sabbath reunion tour from a couple years back was notably absent one Bill Ward, and the story goes that Sharon hated hated him so much that she refused to let Ozzy participate if Ward did, and her demands were catered to. In another bizarre encounter, at Iron Maiden's last Ozfest appearance in San Bernardino, California in 2005, Sharon was upset with Bruce Dickinson for some negative things he had said about reality TV being garbage, and of course, at that time, the Osbournes were reality TV royalty. So, for revenge, Sharon recruited fans and people from her management company to take positions in front of the stage, and when Maiden came on, they pelted the band with eggs, bottle caps, and ice, with some reports even stating that Kelly Osbourne, their daughter, was among the show-ruining dickholes. And if that wasn't bad enough, Maiden's power was cut 3 separate times during their set, with all fingers being pointed at Miss Osbourne if you're nasty, and she is nasty. Dickinson later denied making a personal attack on Ozzy Osbourne, saying, "Did I have a go at Ozzy and Black Sabbath? No, why would I? But I do find the Osbournes TV show series to be loathsome, and the whole cult of reality TV celebrities disgusting." And you know what? You can't argue with that. The following year, Sharon was booed off the stage for talking shit about Maiden to a crowd, calling him a dick. Added to Sharon's crimes are her publicly firing Smashing Pumpkins from her management company, citing health issues. And those health issues are that Billy Corgan makes me fucking sick. And just last year, she appeared on the British television show Would I Lie to You, and told the apparently true story that during a house fire, she made her assistant go back into the house to save her art, and said that she ripped an oxygen mask off of the assistant to give it to her dog, then fired him when he did not find the situation as funny as she did. While he was worried he might have lung damage from smoke inhalation, Sharon said after the fact that he showed no sense of humor during the fire. All of this, and Tony Iommi is still convinced to this day that a box of dog shit was once delivered to his house and was sent by Miss Osbourne herself. What a fucking dickhole, pussy hole, whatever. Bitch. Alright, so I really struggled over the order of 1 versus 2 on our dickhole list, and I ended up putting Tim Lambesis as a number 2, pretty much because most of you guys hate number 1 so much, but I gotta tell you, Tim Lambesis deserves to be number 1 in many ways. The founding member of As I Lay Dying, which was once considered a Christian core band, is also the dude behind the Austrian Death Machine stuff, which paid heavy thrash homage to Arnold Schwarzenegger movies, with Tim singing as Arnold. This dude has seen his share of ups and downs, ladies and gentlemen, and let me tell you, many will forgive him his theological shiftings and even the Shaped by Fire release, but what most fans can't seem to get over is that time he tried to hire a hitman to kill his ex-wife. Fortunately for her, he approached an undercover police officer to do the deed, and ended up getting 6 years in jail instead of getting her killed. The super Christian guy tried to kill his woman. Isn't shall not kill on that commandments list somewhere? Well, he has been released now, has reformed As I Lay Dying, seems to have shifted to atheism, and is back on the road again. So, all forgiven? I'm gonna go with not. We are up to the big number 1 on our dickholes list, but first, we must throw in a few dishonorable mentions that I know some of you are wondering, how in the fuck are these names not on the list already? But I said right from the start, this is a metal list, and I bent the rules a little already to take a shit on Sharon Osbourne. But these guys are some that many of you consider metal, but I personally do not, and you are entitled to your opinions. We don't have to agree. And it would suck if we always did anyway, right? So, let's get to our top 5 also-rans for my dickness list. These guys, or at least some of them, will probably rank higher than others on my list today, but like I said, I have trouble committing them to the metal genre, which is what this thing is all about, right? I do bring them up though, because if you made a list of dickheads, these fuckknuckles would be higher on your list than Snoop Dogg's blunt roller. Yeah, that's right, Snoop Dogg has a professional blunt roller. So what the fuck have you guys done with your life? First up is my disclaimer. I'm going to tell you right now that some of these dishonorable mention guys, some of you will consider metal and some of you do not. And I'm going to tell you, my personal opinion on that is that you're both right. At the time Kiss came out, at the time Guns N' Roses and all that stuff came out, we considered it metal. I was there. I'm an old fucker. I know, kiss my nuts. But back then we'd considered it metal. But I do get where new age metalheads look back on a time where Kiss came out and do not consider that metal. So I think you're both right. Get over it. I told you a million times. Gray world, black and white minds. First up on our dishonorable dickhole list is Maynard James Keenan. Everyone loves Tool, although the most recent outing seems to have mixed reviews. Many love Keenan for his deep lyrical content and his accomplishments as a musician, having founded not only Tool, but also Pussifer and A Perfect Circle, all with high marks from fans. But that is where Mr. James gets into a little hot water with some, because he has publicly ridiculed his own fan base on several occasions now, once stating that fans who were tired of waiting on the new Tool album should get a life instead of worrying about what the fuck he's doing. He even once blamed the delay on the fact that when geniuses are making music together with other geniuses, it takes time because no genius will back down from being right. Yeah, we're allowed to call you a genius, man, but you're not, dick. Next up is Axl Rose. Axl has now been accused of causing at least 2 riots at Guns N' Roses shows and has been a legendary prick to bandmates and other musicians for decades now. There are plenty of reasons to dislike him, but perhaps one of the biggest fuck-ups was back in August of 1992 on the night that James Hetfield stepped in front of a pyrotechnic blast and burned himself the fuck up. While James had to be rushed to the hospital, Guns N' Roses were asked and declined to go on stage any sooner than was already planned. So the crowd waited and got pissed off. So when GNR finally came out and did a total of 9 songs before calling in a night and telling fans this will be our last show ever, and then walked off the stage, the place went fucking berserk. Fans ripped the venue to shreds, causing over $400,000 in damages as they took to overturning concession stands and setting fire to the garbage cans, before the place spilled out into the city streets, torching cars, overturning police cruisers, and even uprooting a street lamp. You can still YouTube a 5-minute video of Axl Rose in 1993 talking straight shit about Metallica for the entirety of the video, and you can also find many insults hurled from Metallica back at Axl himself. Most notably is James Hetfield's statement that Axl could have been a hero that night, but instead chose to be a dick. Well said, sir. In fact, a dickhole. Next up, Fred Durst. That's right, Limp Bizkit himself. And many of you know why I'm not calling him metal, I'm thinking. Outside of the Anthrax Public Enemy collaboration, there is perhaps no man more responsible for the surge in the 90s of nu metal than Mr. Hat on Backwards Durst. With a combination of grade school level lyrics and rehashed and unoriginal beats, these guys somehow took over the world for a minute, and metalheads everywhere are still wondering how and why. Durst has been involved in a war of words with everyone from Les Claypool to Scott Stapp from Creed to Metallica themselves, and we're sure that Napster producing Limp Bizkit shows had nothing to do with it. Anyway, he has even claimed to have had sex with pop stars Christina Aguilera and Britney Spears, both of whom deny any such connection. But he did write songs for Aguilera, and that is arguably worse, isn't it? Plus, he is fresh off of receiving a Golden Rotten Tomato Award for making one of the worst movies of 2019, The Fanatic. Do yourself a favor and avoid it. Next up on our dishonorable dickhole list is Vince Neil. Alright, I know at this point we are kind of piling it on old Vince Neil here at Metal-O-Mania, and yeah, guilty as charged. He killed someone. Fact. Period. Vince got into a car smash drunk and fucking killed Razzle, the drummer from Hanoi Rocks. 40 fucking years ago now, but still, there are a lot of people out there who feel that Vince paid his way out of trouble for this incident and didn't even learn from it because he kept drinking and driving after that shit happened. Also, a near legendary level misogynist, according to a Rolodex of exes, and an Yngwie Malmsteen-sized ego make the Motley Crue frontman a very disliked dude. Cool side note, the Nuclear Assault song on the Plague release, originally called Buttfuck, and was later changed to You Figure It Out, is a direct attack on Vince Neil getting away with murder, cause he's a fucking dickhole. And our last dishonorable mention dickhole is the fucking biggest dick of all time for me, and that's Gene Simmons. Even if I remotely considered Kiss a metal band like I know some of you do, I would have likely put Gene at number 1 on our list with a bullet. There has never been a more arrogant and dismissive dickhole in the history of music than Gene. I would sell you my wife's panties for a nickel Simmons. Notorious for the way he has marketed and profited off of the Kiss legacy, there are even Kiss caskets you can be buried in, gang, and guess what? They are expensive as fuck, going for $4,000 a piece. We were personally told by a tour guide at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, upon being asked why Kiss was not more represented, that everything you see here was donated by the artists, and Gene Simmons won't give us anything for free. No bullshit. What a cock. He loves to say stupid things like rock and roll are dead, and I only did this for sex and the money, which proves he is out of touch, but what makes him a real dickhole is his continued treatment of women. He has been accused of several unwelcome sexual advances, as well as once choking a woman that tried to film him. This dude is just a colossal fucking cunt. I could go on, but I will close Gene out on this. He recently made a young fan who was set to interview Kiss cry because the kid was wearing an Iron Maiden shirt to interview them instead of a Kiss shirt. That one was so dickish that even Paul Stanley is visibly embarrassed by the exchange, clearly trying to joke it off and minimize Gene's asshole factor. Oh yeah, and despite the fact that almost almost every song Gene has ever written, paints himself as the world's greatest lover, claiming in several interviews, some right in front of his wife Sharon Tweed, by the way, that he has bedded at least 50,000 women so far. There was a leaked sex tape of him with some young model that shows 30 seconds of pounding without even him taking his pants and goddamn collapsing into nothingness afterwards. If only, huh? Anyway, so much for the also rans. Let's get to our number one dickhole on the list. And it seems in talking to many of you out there, most of you agree that Lars Ulrich is the biggest cocksucker in metal. While he may be a knight in his homeland of Denmark, Lars will forever be remembered as the dude that shut down Napster. I gotta be honest here. There are some things about Lars that I do think make him a cockhole, and I am not so fast to call him on the Napster thing, man. I kinda get it. After finding non-released Metallica song I Disappear on the file-sharing service, Lars and Metallica went on the attack, with Lars becoming the face of the movement. And right or wrong, people have hated him for it ever since. Add in that he was born to money, and stories follow him everywhere that paint him as an arrogant prick. There is really very little to like about Lars. Countless videos have now been made public of Lars talking to people in a demeaning tone and generally treating others like garbage from under his shoe. There are also the accusations that Lars is not a creative drummer, but instead sticks to basic beats and can't play the same beats live that appear on the records. Plus the conspiracy theory that Lars was behind And Justice for All's erasing of Newsted's bass playing, and I think you are starting to see a pattern of an egotistical prick. Shit, just watch any interview with him and tell me he doesn't just make you want to punch him at least a little bit. And that's why he's our number one dickhole. What do you guys think? Who the fuck did we leave off, and who did we treat unfairly? Let me know, because this has been a dickhole report from the Crypt and Metal-O-Mania.